it's your pal, Sully.
I'm here on the ground with my nose in it since the whole thing began.
A 40-year-old man who's so concerned about your rights, he fought for you to buy beer on Sundays. God bless him.
First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one.
Taking your calls from a 404 number. It's The Sully Show. Live on Talk Radio 640 WGST.
Do you realize that we are going to have more information and care more about Tom Brady's cell phone than we are the details of why we're going to be going to war the next time that we do, which could be in October by some things I read on the internet. Hi there, Sully, weekdays, noon to 2. I'm a little weird. I'm a little different than what's on before me and after me here on 640 WGST, on between noon and 2. Libertarian-ish, that's what I believe. And you know that over the months that I have been on, actually I can say years now because we're into our second year of doing this, I have been a huge proponent of the medicinal marijuana movement, the medical cannabis movement in the state of Georgia. We've talked to Representative Alan Peake a number of times. By the way, congratulations to him. Looks like he's going to be seeking to become a lieutenant governor in the very near future. But at this time, I would like to welcome in to talk a little bit more about the medical aspect, specifically about medical marijuana. And we welcome into the studio Dr. Matt DiDuro. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Sully.
MDherb.org, the first medically backed marijuana website. Am I reading that correct?
That's right. I mean, this group is looking to be the WebMD for medical cannabis and really bridge that gap between, say, the soccer mom and finding out information, as well as helping the medical doctor learn more about over 1,500 different studies out there and how this plant that's been around for 5,000 years has helped so many people.
It is quite remarkable that it has taken us so long to get here. There is such a stigma about marijuana, and when you say that word, when you say cannabis, people think a lot of different things. And that has held back progress to get the healing effects of marijuana to the people who need them.
Great point. I mean, you can look back in 1937 when they started the prohibition. The AMA was actually against it back then. And so, you know, we lost out on 60, 70 years of possible research for this. But, you know, it's wonderful to have people like Representative Alan Peake and Governor Nathan Deal that are now behind this. And honestly, it's all it takes, and you meet one family with one child that has these issues, and you want to do everything you can to help them.
And that's what changed the governor's heart. He saw many of these families who were down there bugging their legislators about this bill. He came to know them, and that's why his heart was changed. That's what changed him to become a real big supporter of medical cannabis.
18 months ago, he said, no way, not on my watch, And all it took was meeting a couple of these wonderful families and these children, and they take your heart away. I mean, I have 3 daughters, and I couldn't imagine if we were in that same shoes and the links we would go to actually help our child as well.
So much to get to. We'll get to the specifics of how medical cannabis actually helps people and what type of pain it relieves and what type of conditions it works well for. But I wanted to get to something that I really wanted to quiz the governor about last week when I had him on, and didn't get to. Medical marijuana is now legal in the state of Georgia, but you still can't buy it. These families are having to go out of state. The question here is in-state cultivation. I hear from some people that this is going to be a slam dunk in the upcoming session of the legislature to begin in January. Other people are not so sure. When are these families going to be able to get their medical marijuana legally in the state?
This bill passing into law was the first step, and I'm excited about that. It does create a little bit of the rum runner effect, I call it.
Because people are having to go across state lines, violate federal law.
Sure. But with that CARES Act that's out there that Senator Cory Booker and Rand Paul are both backing, that could help a lot. So we've got to keep an eye on the national level, how that turns. But I do think that it's something that definitely has to be addressed. In-state cultivation is going to be something that even the patient's ability to actually grow like they do in California and Alaska, and to be able to make their own oils or tinctures. The thing that you have to realize is some of these oils are very expensive, $250 to $500 a week. And they're not going to be backed. They're helped by their insurance or health care, right? So this is going to be out of pocket for these patients. Sometimes it's up to $900 per month for these oils that help, especially with the children with seizures and epileptic disorders.
We're talking with Matt DiDuro. He's in studio with us for a half hour. MDherb.org is the website.
That's right.
Turn the clock back 20 years, Dr. DiDuro. Did you ever picture yourself working in this industry? Is this a passion of yours from long ago, or is this something only recently that has come up for you?
Well, I've obviously, I went to college, and like a lot of our presidents, back in the days, I knew it was something that had some benefits. I kind of liked it more than alcohol back in the day. You can look at how many people's lives gets messed up with alcohol and abuse and addiction. But I also look at just the coffee, right? I mean, coffee isn't a socially accepted drug, but 95% of the adult population can't start their workday without it.
Got to have it.
Right. But if you think of coca, right, the coffee bean, it is a drug, the way we use it to stimulate our bodies. So, we have some big plans, and we look at it as, in the states where it is legal, there is a decrease in opiate use. There's not an increase in teenage use right now, what we're seeing, and that's a really great sign. I think I'm behind this movement because, first, for the patients. Secondly, to really get it out of a class 1 substance and allow the research to start happening. My pure passion in this is I work with diabetics and peripheral neuropathy patients and chronic pain patients. We got left off on that. So I want to see this next session where that's added on, and hopefully House Representative Alan Peake will help that. But patients with PTSD, right? Amputee patients, those patients are some of the worst pain. I mean, they called it phantom limb pain, and it is debilitating. So we have to add some conditions, and, our goal is to help patients get off some of these pharmaceutical drugs that have a lot more side effects and can have some, serious issues.
All right, we're in studio for the half hour with Dr. Matt DiDuro. MDherb.org is the website. A lot to get to, and we'll continue next, talk a little bit about the different things that medical marijuana can be used to treat and why there's such a bad stigma along with it. And your calls, too, if you want to weigh in, 404-367-9478, the opportunity for you to talk to a doctor who's working in medical cannabis right here in the state of Georgia. Again, 404-367-9478. We'll take a break. Right now, let's get cooking with Paula Dean. Sully Show, 640 WGST, our number 404-367-9478. Dr. Matt DiDuro is in studio and taking your calls. If you have any questions about medical cannabis here in the state of Georgia, MDherb.org, the website. What are some of the things that people might not realize that medical cannabis can help in terms of conditions? I was just talking with my girlfriend the other day. She gets really bad migraines. And I've heard that medical cannabis can be used for that, too.
Well, that's what they're finding. And there's some wonderful observational type of stories. But what we need to do is really get our hands around it and look at it from a research standpoint. And that's what I like about MDherb.org is because they are actually, we're working with one of the largest consultant groups in the country. Maramine Consultants. They have over 400 dispensaries, and 200 of them are compassion-type clinics that work with patients with all these different issues. And what we're finding is that we're going to do surveys in these dispensaries with the patients to actually find out, what do you use for migraine? Which one is it? And they have some funny names, like Purple Kush or whatever. But we want to take that data and really farm it and find out what are the best strains for chronic pain, epilepsy. There's something really neat. As I've been diving into the research and looking at it, there is a neuroprotective component to this CBD and THC, that can actually help patients with chronic degenerative type of neurological disorders like Parkinson's, like ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, like multiple sclerosis. So what is it? And it's also, we're seeing it for patients with peripheral neuropathy, right? These are damage to the small sensory nerves and some of the large branches of the nerves. And if there's a component out there in this cannabis that can help our patients, be it in the form of an oral or an injectable or an edible, then we want to look at that. Because especially with the patients with these chronic debilitating conditions, we just want to make them comfortable, right? My own story with my wife, she was diagnosed with breast cancer October 1st. Was tough, stage 3, and we were ignorant on it, and we really didn't know how bad it could be. But going through the chemo and the surgeries and everything else out there, the chemo was so tough on her body. I mean, it just wore her down. Nausea, lack of, didn't want to eat, the appetite, and sleep. Especially her second round of the chemo was just very, very tough. She would get 30 minutes at a time sleep.
And those 3 symptoms right there are symptoms that can be remedied with medical cannabis.
So a good friend of mine who's an anesthesiologist out in Denver, Dr. Jordan Kuppinger, he's like, Matt, we're seeing some really nice observational stuff. Get her something in an oil-based. And we used it, a couple drops. The first night, she slept for 6 hours straight. The second night, she did really well. She only needed it after this really strong chemo drug called Cytosin. But the 4 or 5 times that she had to use it, it was better than any other med that the oncologist prescribed. And some of the stuff they're giving for patients going through chemo is called Neulasta, and it's $6,000 per shot. And they do it the second day after chemo treatments. So it helps, helps with suppressing some of those other symptoms.
So obviously with these laws changing, hopefully the prices of these types of medicines will be able to come down a little bit. Do your colleagues share your enthusiasm for this wing of your business, of your practice?
Of our marketing, I've gone out there and, I really want to find the doctors that want to help. We've got a database. We have a pre-register log where we can have patients go to a local website. It's called 411oncbd.com. Those patients who have any of those 8 conditions in Georgia can go in and they can see if they qualify. And then they submit their information, and we have a new patient coordinator that will call them and put them for a doctor closest to their area. But yes, they're like, not everybody. Some of them want to throw me out. I mean, one group who works specifically with multiple sclerosis, I thought they were going to call security on me because they're getting calls day after day. They have over 4,000 patients, active patients. And I went in to say, hey, this is what we're doing. And the office manager was like, after 2 or 3 visits, she finally was like, they're not interested. They're staying neutral. And they're getting 9 to 10 calls a day from their existing patients. So it's different. There's definitely a fence out there, and people are kind of staying on one side until kind of the smoke clears.
Well, if just one place has the phone ringing 9 to 10 times a day, you could pretty much say that there's a demand for it out there. I'm not going to let this guy occupy every single square inch of our time together, but I do want to get you on. He's a little bit of a skeptic on the subject of medical cannabis. Randy, you're on with Dr. Matt DiDuro.
Hey, thanks, Sully. I hope that you don't hang up on me too quick. I got a couple questions. First, doctor, what are your credentials?
Hey, yes, I'm a chiropractor, but I run a marketing business, and specifically, I focus with patients with debilitating pain, diabetic, and neuropathy pain.
Okay, so you're not a medical doctor. You're a chiropractor. Are you certified board certified in nutrition?
There's no board certification in nutrition for chiropractors, but I do have
there is. Ask Dr. Joe Esposito, a very big chiropractor. He's double board certified by Life University, one of the biggest chiropractic colleges in the country, right in Marietta, Georgia. So right then, what I want to know, y'all keep saying, well, my friend told me it made me feel better. It looked like somebody slept a little bit better. What about all of these, like, say, Harvard Medical School surveys that are coming in saying this is a bunch of quackery. It's a bunch of P.T. Barnum stuff that people want to get on the ground floor, just like our governor, of a giant money-making marijuana growing and selling operation, when in fact there's no medical studies that show that marijuana does anybody any good. As a matter of fact, all of the recent studies are showing...
Randy, there are plenty of studies that do indicate the benefits of it.
Most of the studies are actually coming out of Israel and Spain right now. So, obviously we have it listed as a class 1 substance. So there's no, they say there's no medical benefits. That's changing as we speak. And the JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, came out just about 2 weeks ago. And they looked at 12 different studies and came out with a tier system of what they felt. They came out specifically and said, marijuana is medicine. That was, you can Google it and check it out in JAMA. And they said, they put in 3 different tier systems. The top tier, they said, were chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, muscle spasms, and neuropathic pain. That they saw the best benefits for it. So, there's a lot of money. They call it the green rush. I call it the green flush because a lot of people who don't really know what's happening are throwing money in it, and they'll probably lose a lot of money. You can talk. He has nice opinions, and we welcome those opinions, Randy. I'm an adjunct professor at Life University. There's no double board certification out there. I mean, medical doctors can get certifications. Chiropractors can get fellowships. So that's what I was trying to say to you, Randy. But, there's going to be skeptics. But all I say is have one of your children, have one of your grandchildren have these seizures. And the medications that you're on, clonazepam, which is very, very strong, it actually just puts the brain to sleep. And some of the parents that have switched and weaned their children off this, they've actually spoken about a decrease in the seizures from 300 per day to 2 or 3 per week. And then their brain is actually awakening, and these parents are able to meet their children for the first time. So, Randy, God bless you. I hope everything goes well in your world. But when something like this happens like it did in my family, I think you'll go to great lengths to make your family comfortable.
Well, Randy's our kind of lead cynic here at the radio station, and you did actually really well with him. Dr. Matt DiDuro, wrapping up with him. Let's talk a little bit, in addition to 411 on CBD.com, where people can get a lot of great information about cannabis oil and how it all works. Talk about the Medical Cannabis Institute.
Yeah, that is, we are really excited to partnership with them, and this is going to help us bridge that gap between the medical profession and also the information that's out there and already exists. So medical doctors can actually go online and through MDherb.org, and they can set up to take continuing medical ed classes at their house after hours and learn more about this plant that's been around for 5,000 years and has been shown to be very beneficial in certain cases. And to me, that's where you're going to start really seeing things start changing. As more of our doctors learn about the benefits, great. The thing that you've seen with our doctors is that a lot of these parents who have children with epilepsy, they haven't found a pediatrician or neurologist that will make the recommendations. They work 2 years to get these bills into place to become laws, and then they can't find a doctor. At our offices, we're not charging for the parents with these children with seizures to come in and get their recommendations. We just want to help them on their path.
Well, business is sure to grow, but in the process, a lot of people are going to be helped, and you're leading the way on that. Dr. Matt DiDuro, MDherb.org is the website. Thank you so much for coming in, my man.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate it. Talk Radio 640 WGST. More of the Sully